Wait, stop for a moment. This musical is really good. Let me tell you about it.
I like your fingertips, I like your soul.
That was literally one of the best musicals I've ever seen. I bought merch.
It is a wild ride.
You don't get it! It's about what it feels like to be 14 and suffering your first crush. So I knew that the whole thing had to feel like extremely adrenal. It needed to have like these bass lines that like shook the entire theatre. The whole message of the show is about how empowered it is to scream your lungs out about something you care about. In researching this show, I realized that fangirls know how to do something almost none of my adult friends know how to do, and that's love something without apology. This is a musical that's not based on a book, and it's not based on a movie. And so, honestly, I didn't think necessarily that anyone would ever produce it. And the fact that it's gone on, you know, that our first season sold out, then we came back on this national tour, and now we're at the Opera House. It feels like, how have we got away with this? This is amazing. So Fangirls is this original musical.
The story follows a girl named Edna who is in love with Harry.
The only problem is, so are 38 million other people.
Because Harry is in the world's biggest boy band, True Connection.
Fangirls is the story of how Edna, this whip-smart, kind of genius 14-year-old girl, will stop at nothing to find a way to meet Harry. And without spoiling what happens in the plot, she goes to some pretty extreme lengths.
Hey, I don't know how many of y'all are TED Talk people or you know what TED Talk is, but it's about fangirls, and I want to show you this beginning clip, and I encourage you to go watch the whole thing.
Years and years ago, I met a 13-year-old girl who changed my life. She told me she had met the man she was going to marry.
And then she said, I know you don't think I'm serious, but I'm actually going to be with him. Because I love him so much that I would slit someone's throat to be with him.
I then did all of this research, and I quickly realized the bigger story was about how when we talk about fangirls, we reach for words like hysterical, crazy, over the top, desperate. And I guess what interests me is that if you look at articles or reporting around young men, say, excited about something happening in sport, you don't reach for those adjectives. We tend to reach for adjectives like devoted and passionate and loyal. I guess what became interesting to me is the way that we minimize young women for their interests. It's this glittery pop concert, it's this like feral, bombastic show, but really at its core, it is a story about how we tell young women these lies about themselves, and we talk down to them about their interests.
Well, at least you and I can just have a sleepover that night and listen to all their songs while we cry ourselves to sleep.
On the 4th day of high school, heading home all alone on the bus. I hadn't found any friends.
What's been amazing is there's all these people who found the show and then found each other, and they call themselves the Fangirls or the FGFG. They make memes about the show.
Speaking in a language only we spoke.
They make TikToks.
So I'm addicted to this, not in a literal medical sense, but...
Last year, they found each other on Zoom, and they would do these like weekly Zoom nights where they would share PowerPoint presentations about the show.
It explains all the literary techniques and musical devices I could find in the 2021 season of Fangirls. It is 15,000 words long.
I'm obsessed with it.
Did you make that yourself?
And it's
We are all fangirls for fangirls, and that's kind of how we all became friends, a lovely little Twitter group chat.
It's seeing yourself, your young teenage self, represented positively on stage.
And it's not just the music or like the flashiness, like all the sparkliness of it. It just feels like it genuinely cares about the people who love it.
This is the cute little fan art wall.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote this work about what it's like to be a teenager and to feel misunderstood. It's wild now to see a community of young people find each other and go, I wish that I had something that gave me a community like that. So it's a massive honor.
Oh, yeah. You get them tomorrow. Like, actually, you promise? Oh my God. Thanks, Mummy. Love you. Bye.
I was a teenager in the era when all the teens on TV were played by 30-year-olds who were rail thin in high heels with perfect skin. And I was this 14-year-old watching the TV carpeted in acne, and I just felt like a little rodent. And I wanted to make a piece of theater with teenagers I really recognized. So when writing the show, I became really interested in the specific intricacies of how teenage girls speak, the ways that they go up at the end of every sentence, or even the rhythm in how they might speak. And I really wanted the lyrics to be informed by that. You know, I wanted the score to be unapologetically Australian and really to sound like teenage girls sound. I didn't want to write a musical that sounded like a musical I'd already heard. I wanted to make something spiky and rebellious and different. I know a lot of teenagers who really love musical theatre. I don't know a lot of straight teenagers. I feel like Gen Z, anything goes when it comes to sexuality and gender, and they're challenging so many conformist norms, and it's really inspiring. What sucks though is to see that so much of musical theatre casting in this industry is not challenging those norms. And you know, people often will point out that this show feels like an outlier in certain ways in terms of the inclusion in our casting. And what frustrates me is like, why are we an outlier? I'd rather not be the outlier, I'd rather be the norm.
You're on the backs of my eyelids, the fault of my brain. You ruined my life and you made my day.
If this show can be a kind of watering hole of like glitter and feralness, and if it's this little beacon that just says, be whatever you want to be, it's so exciting that people are finding each other through it.